the niche. And so do you have to have a niche? Like when I started, I didn't know. And then everybody tells you, oh, you have to have one, and then no one knows how to pronounce it. And, so you just have to pick a pronunciation and go with it. But then I found over time that my niche kind of found me. So I ended up getting multiple clients, and then I started getting more clients in a certain area, which happened to be the trades. So, I just wondered if maybe you found that as well, because you've been in business for quite some time. So
I like the trades. I mean, I like people who offer services, professional services. My accountability coaching seems to really help them a lot. But on the bookkeeping side, trades, construction, all that, the beautiful thing about anything construction related, when you do business with people like that, is they have that triangle, fast, good, or cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's conversations you never have to have with those clients, because if they're working with you, they see the value. They make it clear what they expect out of you. Like I like working with construction clients. They tend to be very respectful of your value. They're working with you because they see the value. They're willing to pay the price.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's true. And I find that my trades too are they're much more, I don't know if honest is the right word, but they're more forthcoming about, some challenges and things, and willing to say, willing to, I don't know if learn is the right word, but willing to expand their horizons and say, okay, I hadn't really thought of that. Oh, that's a good solution. Or reaching out and saying, hey, something happened here, and I thought I'd just sort of get your gut feel on it.
So that falls under the header of they see your value. When your clients see your value, they use you as the tool that you should be for their business, right? And that means that you actually get a heads up when stuff happens, because they check in with you before they make the decision, not after they've made the decision.
That's true. Yeah.
That's really so good point. That's absolutely, like, that's that. Yeah. And sometimes, especially at our age, sometimes the niche is what's easiest, like return on investment, what requires the least time and effort and energy. Like I just broke off with someone who hosts stuff in the accounting industry, because I got tired of having the kind of conversation with this person where they tell me they want to hear, be held accountable. But then when we have the conversation, let me just put it this way. Every conversation I've ever had with her required that a week or so later, I receive a message saying, hey, I did hear what you were saying.
And so what did you do with it?
And then they'll tell me what I did with it. But you can imagine how unpleasant the conversation was if they felt the need in that message afterwards. And I left my husband because he made me force him into doing the things he wanted to do. Right. I don't see why I should do that for somebody else. So
I hear you.
It was a good reminder not to do that for people who haven't paid me to do it. Because when they pay you to do it, they're not, it's not the same experience at all. It's not personal.
Right. Yes. Right.
If I say something they don't want to hear, but they need to hear it, instead of turning it into some sort of weird personal attack, which is what happens in this case, they'll be like, I don't understand. Like, please share the data that you used to say that, to tell me you see a pattern here, and then we'll pick it apart. And sometimes I misread a situation, but it's still something they needed to look at. I felt the disturbance in the force, and I didn't read it right. And picking it apart means that they get to see it themselves. I didn't have to say what it was. Like, I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind asking the stupid question when somebody's like, oh, I can't figure this problem out, and there seems to be an obvious solution, and this person is not dumb. So therefore, there must be a big obvious reason that, because I'm not in the industry, I don't know why this thing that seems obvious to me is not even being brought up, right? And so I'm not afraid to look stupid. I'll go, well, why is this not on the table? And 90% of the time, while they explain to me why it can't be done, they will figure a workaround, and they'll come up while they're explaining to me why my question is stupid. They will figure out how to work their way around to make it work. And it might end up in something like it was like the idea or the concept, but the reality will be completely different. But that conversation will give them the answers that they have. Like, I come from the point of view of, I just have a lot of questions. You have all the answers that you need. And once a consultant accepts that our intelligence has its limits, because we're not in the business every moment of every day, we're not in the person's head every moment of every day, that makes us that much more valuable. Consultants that come in acting like they know all the answers, they're dangerous, because
Yeah.
they might be fighting against the business owner's natural tendencies, and then the advice they give is just going to be disastrous if you don't take the business owner into account. If you're just like, oh, I know this is what you do in this situation, this is the template to follow. Do you know what I mean? That kind of approach.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think when we realize that we don't know, but they know, we become that much more valuable to them.
Yeah.
And then
Because so many owners are just by themselves. They have people that work for them and they have client stuff, but they have themselves. They don't have anybody else to talk to share the burden, to work through things, like you said, and need to just be there and to support them and say, well, let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Give me, let me know. And like you say, they kind of come to their own. Oh, I see now what I was missing, or, oh, maybe if I'd done this, you're like, there you go. They're sort of a cheerleader, we're like, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was with you that I had discussed, like, one of the ways that I show them that they know more about their business than I ever could is I look at the last 12 months of financials on a month by month report, and I look for irregularities, right? And I start asking questions. How come this is so much higher or so much lower than this 12-month view would lead me to expect? And so they start answering my questions. Usually by the second or third question, they're looking for irregularities to tell me the next story. And by the time they've told me about 4 or 5 irregularities, it's really sank in, like, the nature of our collaboration when it comes to expertise, where they know things that I just get a glimpse of on the reports, right? It's sort of my way of showing them how little I see when I'm looking at that.
No, that's very true. But yeah, so I appreciate what you were saying about, helping the owners really, find out for themselves what's really happening in their business. Because like you say, and that is something that I think the owners forget, is that they know their business better than anybody else.